I slept in a lot of different rooms, different beds, but none of them really felt like mine. I spent 14 years in foster care, mostly in group homes. And I never had much stuff because I always had to be ready to move. Why get things if you just have to let them go?
There are more than 100,000 children in foster care waiting to be adopted. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is working to help find them a forever family and a permanent home of their own.
Now I have my own room with walls that tell my story. I love hanging out in here. I play dress up with my sisters and I sing and make videos. But the best part, knowing I'll always have a place to go and a family that loves and supports me.
If you have room in your home or your heart, see how you can help at davethomasfoundation.org.
All right, we're back. If you'd like to join us, please call 508-996-0500. Let's go back to the phones. You are on the air with Ken.
Hey, Ken, good morning.
Morning.
It's Bob McConnell calling. I just wanted to say something about the sheriff's interview there on the radio yesterday. He kept saying that ICE had killed people. And as a law enforcement professional, I know that he knows that. That is not the narrative or the language that law enforcement uses. What we use is the deadly threat was stopped, not that we killed somebody, is that we stopped the threat. And that's all based on a use of force continuum.
Well, I think Renee Good, not to interrupt you, but I think Renee Good forced the issue and the agent felt his life was threatened. I understand that one. And then the second guy, what was his name, brought a gun to confront the agents.
Craig something, yeah.
And there was a physical confrontation. They discovered his gun, and a gun went off. I'm not sure I understand that one as much. But then this one down in Texas, if this guy did what they said, and we did see video of him trying to escape, getting away from the ICE agents, and then they're claiming that he was going to run down one of the agents in order to escape. They felt they had to put him down. If I was in Mexico, for example, and police told me to pull over, and I decide to escape, and there's a police officer in front of me, and I floor it in his direction, I would fully expect they would fire on me.
Yeah, Ken, absolutely. None of these decisions are capricious, and I know it's kind of difficult for the general public to understand, but this use of force continuum, there's only 5 uses of force or perceived subjects' actions of what people are going to do, and they're either compliant, resistive, passive, meaning that they're sitting there not doing anything, saying that they're not going to move, or resistant, active, where they're pulling away, or assaultive with bodily harm, or like the people that you described, they were assaultive and there was the possibility of serious bodily harm or death. And the threat perception, the officer's perception, is that it's lethal. And then the reasonable officer's response, and it's all based on reasonableness, is deadly force. Nobody killed anybody. Lawyers will say, you shot and killed my client here. I didn't. I stopped the threat. He was assaultive, and deadly consequences were inevitable, and they needed to be stopped. I don't want to kill anybody. We don't want to kill anybody, but we need to maintain order and stop a threat. And if somebody is displaying these type of behaviors, this is the response. It's not just made up. It's not that the guy just decided to do that. And, that kind of speaks to something else that one of the previous callers was talking about, chasing certain people down the street. I've sat in surveillance things, as you described, watching a particular area with ICE teams, and before they grabbed anybody, we would wait so long for all kinds of authorization, verification that it was the right guy, and it really put us in harm's way. They don't just grab somebody because of their accent, the color of their skin, or anything like that. It's all very methodically planned out. So, it's just really disturbed.
You're right. In an operation the size that we're seeing, which is the size that we're seeing because of the Biden administration, that it's not going to, nothing's run perfectly, especially a large operation. There are going to be mistakes. But you're right. These incidents, they're not trying to, if everybody was compliant, right, nobody would be dead.
Yeah. And, they pretend to care so much about these people, but I was on the ICE team for 8 years, and there's only one holding spot here in Massachusetts now, and that's Plymouth County. Otherwise, you have to go out of state. You have leg irons on, waist chains, handcuffs in the back of a cage in a van, and going to Connecticut. We were even going down to Elizabeth, New Jersey.
That's a good point, because you talk about they criticize separating families. You're not giving the opportunities for these families to even visit the incarcerated because they're so taboo. They don't want to even help ICE facilitate these people, even if it means they can't see their families for longer.
Continuity of medical care, that you're being moved out of state, rather than the place that you live, where your family is, where your legal representation is. And Bristol County, with the great Tom Hodgson, that was the hub. We use them so much for staging areas, keeping people there. The alternative is that you're taken out of state most of the time.
Yeah.
So they don't really care about these people or those aspects. Some of the things that we did on that ICE team was spending a lot of time in immigration court. And, once again, it's 80, 90% of these petitions are all denied because they're really baseless.
I think that also the officials on the left side have got to be challenged to be more careful with their language, because they're telling every illegal immigrant, every citizen of the United States, that these ICE agents are Gestapo, Nazis, bad guys. So, who's going to want to comply with somebody like that? They're going to try to get away, because it's a life and death situation, as they're told.
Right. Oh, yeah. It completely delegitimizes them and demonizes law enforcement officers. My involvement in politics really began with that Lund decision, because, as I described, I'm driving around. These people are in the back. My training was nursing, really. I went to nursing school in 1982. I care about people, have a great deal of compassion for them. And, having them all chained up and moved so far away is really contrary to that.
Yeah, and the way, now, there was a time, if we're being honest, there was a time not that long ago when there was this disparity in too many cases of how black and white suspects were treated. All right, but I think the black community and frankly the rest of us who disagreed with that reality, I think they spoke loud and clear. But I also see now today people using their color as a shield and treating the officers with no respect, getting into even criminal type of language and behavior towards the police. Not just blacks. I mean, a lot of whites are doing it, but the respect for police officers is at an all-time low, and I hate witnessing it. I really do.
I think that, the police really and law enforcement really needs to educate the public in something like this use of force continuum and why people do things the way that they do. They just don't capriciously decide that they're going to handle the situation that way. It's all very regulated with policies, procedures, Mass General laws, and codes of Massachusetts regulation. But what I was going to say about that Lund decision was that I had these people in the back of the van, and all of a sudden that decision comes down that says that Massachusetts law enforcement is restricted from transporting, notifying ICE, or even holding people for us. So if we have a medical emergency, a motor vehicle accident, a fight on board, an assault, we're on our own. Really, somebody can't even come and respond and help us out, hold these other people for a couple hours till we can arrange transport. It's such a roadblock to getting this job done. And some of those actions were, I think the Lund decision was during Trump's first administration. And then when Biden came in, I really feel a moral injury because they were just flying in and we were just letting them go. They'd put an ankle bracelet on them up at Burlington, make them sign some paper saying that they're going to be good and come back for court, and then drop them off at the airport, South Station, even Pine Street Inn. And, so it was awful. They didn't speak the language. They didn't have any money. And, those were the orders.
But the tolerance for their criminal behavior is shocking. And let me qualify that. The chase on the Bourne Bridge last week where Panamanian is 74 years old. He's got a green card, okay, but he also has 30 arrests, a violent history.
Yeah.
Why is he in the country?
It's crazy. Or even, to get back down to the New Bedford incident where Mayor Mitchell was saying that they should have waited for the attorney to come before they took this guy out of the car. That's a mass general law there that the stop by law enforcement needs to be of a reasonable amount of time. So he was suggesting that law enforcement put themselves in the position of violating that by holding somebody for that period of time. No matter what the excuse is, if you get pulled over, the cop can't keep you there because you pissed him off or something.
Can you imagine John Mitchell, a New Bedford cop pulls over a driver suspected of being drunk? Can you imagine John Mitchell saying, well, you shouldn't have brought him to the police station before his lawyer was on site? I mean, he doesn't do that for Americans.
Right. Yeah, once again, like you said, a different standard of justice for different people, which is just wrong. But, the whole thing has inspired me to get involved in politics, and that was the reason, was law enforcement and immigration, being called a racist after going through so many different police academies and training the people that you serve with, just like the military. You're expected to lay your life down for them. They're your family. They're your friends. To be called a racist and it's for people that are your family. They're just using it for a political advantage, and it's not right, and it endangers us. I'm going to be 70 years old in March and just recertified as a post-certified police officer, which I'm very proud of doing. And it just breaks my heart.
You're probably staying in shape, right? It probably keeps you in shape in that situation better than maybe if you weren't doing things like that. You might let yourself go.
The statistics are not good. The actuary tables say that we actually all die a lot sooner because of that. But I did spend 20 hours in Plymouth, first doing the parade and then the fireworks, and it was a long day to be on my feet and, kind of dangerous with the traffic, but still proud to serve other people and proud to be a post-certified Massachusetts police officer. But what they're doing with this ICE attack is so wrong. Like I said, I worked for them out of that Burlington office up there and saw a lot of things, and
it's just
really
amazing,
bad.
Bob, that you get people who watch violent actions of Antifa and support it, and then they see people enforcing the law doing something way less egregious, but that are necessary, and suddenly what are you doing?
Right. Media and opposition politicians putting out that message over and over and over again. Tell a lie soon enough, long enough, or frequently enough, and people will believe it. And, it's not true. Did I see some things in ICE that I would have handled differently from a medical perspective and being a mandated reporter? Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's why I'm not working for them anymore. But, that was precipitated by this shutdown of housing and health. They got to look for a hotel room in New Jersey to send this person to. And, when I say hotel room, I mean just a housing facility that there's just no, if there was a kinder, gentler way and they really cared about it, open up these places. If somebody gets arrested, bring them there. Don't bring them to New Hampshire. That's just one of the ironies of it. And constant roadblocks and obstruction and resistance of it. One thing we used to do was pick people up at state prison that had a detainer, and they just finished a 20 or a 30-year sentence for murder or rape or something. It's pretty scary to go in those places and tell the person, hey, you're not leaving. We got to bring you to Burlington. We got to bring you to ICE. You got in a detainer. But that's what we did. And then Maura Healey, when Attorney General, came up with something else through the SJC and said, oh, no, an ICE agent's got to meet you there and serve him. Okay, in the parking lot at MCI Concord for 2 hours waiting for him. The guy shows up. We walk in with him, check the weapons, get the restraints. He goes in, hands the guy the paper. Yeah, you're going with them, and walks out. Like, oh, you're protecting their civil rights. Okay, I get it. And the other part, too, Ken, is us taxpayers, we're all paying for that crap. They're paying me, another deputy, the ICE agent that's got to drive 3 hours just to do that one little task to protect somebody's alleged civil rights. So,
yeah, it's ironic that we have a governor who says ICE is not making our community safer, despite, don't believe your lying eyes or what you're reading. The evidence is clear that illegal immigrants are killing Americans all the time by accident or through criminal behavior. But zero should be happening. If they weren't in the country, it wouldn't be happening here. And so some people don't.
You hear that argument that Americans are committing more crimes and more dangerous than the illegals, and that they're so virtuous. But with somebody filling in for Mark Levine last night, and he was citing statistics of 20 to 28% rape, murder, fraud, and all due to illegal immigrants and immigration floodgates being open here. So people want to be safer, cut back on crime. We cut it by 25% by just getting rid of these people.
Is it 20, 25? That's the illegal immigrant in those stats?
In those particular crimes, he cited each offense, whether it was murder.
So that's
fraud,
1 in 5. 1 in 5. Well, let me just say this: 1 in 5 by a population that's 1 in 18. So it's disproportionate.
It's the amount of crime being committed. You mean? I'm not sure.
For rape, if it was 20%, that's 1 in 5, and they're only 1 out of 18 in this country, illegal immigrants. Bob, great call. Thank you for it.
Oh, thank you, Ken. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Have a great weekend.
We'll be back. You too.
Stay up to date on the latest news.
I follow the news pretty much throughout the day.
New Bedford's News Talk Station, WBSM. 1420 AM and 99.5 FM. WBSM.
Latrell spent more than 8 years in foster care. His world changed when he was adopted at 15 with help from the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption.
I think about how much we love him, and I wish we could have had him for his entire childhood.
The foundation is changing the lives of thousands of teens waiting in foster care. You can help. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
The Ken Pittman Show, 1420 WBSM, New Bedford.
United States Deputy Sheriff's Association is a national nonprofit and America's largest non-governmental provider of services to law enforcement. USDSA assists city, county, state, and federal law enforcement agencies through our many varied programs, including free safety equipment donations, free officer survival training, cash donations, and condolence letters to the family of law enforcement officers who perish in the line of duty. USDSA also provides a citizen awareness program and thank you cards to law enforcement. These are just some of the ways United States Deputy Sheriff's Association assists America's law enforcement and the citizens they serve. For more information about United States Deputy Sheriff's Association or to see how you can help, please visit usdeputy.org. United States Deputy Sheriff's Association, taking training to the next level because lives are on the line.
Pittman. This is the Ken Pittman Show on 1420 WBSM.
So Iran is allegedly being run by the son of Ayatollah Khamenei. He's not been seen since the attack on the compound of Khamenei, who was buried last week. And there were banners held by members of the government and by citizens promising to assassinate Donald Trump. The Ayatollah, now the son of the former Ayatollah Khamenei, says it absolutely has to get done. Donald Trump has to be killed. I don't know how you let this guy live, given an opportunity. I don't know how that this is a direct threat on the people of the United States. He's promising to carry out an orchestrated murder, probably with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. I'm not sure they'll be successful. I'm confident we'll intercept any kind of plans like that, but he's promising to try. Now, if it's Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, zero tolerance. Go get them. We know that Iran is a violent regime. We know they've killed 40,000 of their own people since January. We know they've hunted down members of the Shah of Iran's regime decades after he was thrown out. Murdered them in France and elsewhere decades later. So there's no reason not to trust that they are who they say they are, and they want to kill President Trump. Well, Trump, with Israel, went in and blasted them, and I can understand why they want him dead, but you got to finish the job, Mr. President. You cannot let this regime stand. I mean, these are just names. They're going to be replaced with people trying to do the same things. The nuclear program, the Houthi rebels, Hamas, Hezbollah, funding all of these things. You can either withdraw and let them rebuild and do these same things, these terrible things, or you can maybe have some special forces advisors start to train people outside of Iran that belong in Iran, put them back in, give them arms to give to their comrades, and take out this regime with the help of U.S. air support. I would hope that would be the resolution here. This could backfire on Iran, too. Iran's now holding the world economy hostage, firing at ships. I think the last one was from Singapore. They've been firing on ships that they don't feel are authorized by them to use the international waters of the Strait of Hormuz. I think you'll see other countries, whether they agree with the United States or with Iran, they might say, you know what, it has nothing to do with us. We're buying oil. We're not, these aren't your waters. These are international waters, and we have the right to use them. I think you're might see some more protection that could backfire on the Iranians. If they end up hurting or killing naval forces from other nations, they could be picking a fight they didn't want to. And I think it's a mistake for them to think they should be able to hold the world economy hostage by shutting down the oil flow, which, like it or not, that's a big part of the economy, as you know. And you were paying $2.59 a gallon not so long ago. Now you're paying $3.59, $4. 508-996-0500. He's got to stop with we've got a deal. It's a good deal. Nobody's ever seen such a good deal. You got to stop with that. Just don't say anything. You're not going to have a deal with these people. They're going to lie to you. You can't do anything in good faith. You're going to have to deal with a completely new government to feel comfortable that they're going to do what they say. And there'll be an unknown even there. So the push now in Massachusetts is a rent freeze. It's never worked. It's always been a problem. And I got to tell you, if you're a young couple and you're looking to invest in a multifamily home, as part of your retirement. You don't have a pension. You have your own small business, or you have a company that doesn't pay for a pension. So your income that you're planning on would be to buy this multifamily home and rent it out. I mean, in Massachusetts, the tenants' rights are unbelievably strong. Now, you can't plan if there's a cost of living increase and your rent is frozen. You could be in the red with this. There's unknowns and knowns that really would scare off investors. It's easy to demonize the landlord. And in some cases, you might be accurate, but in a lot of cases, there are people who do a nice job for their tenants, and they're dealing with the harsh realities of a real economy with inflation, cost of living, all that stuff. And to lock them in while things increase against their profit line, you're gonna cause a stagnant market. You're going to create a very bad economy just from that. You're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars, taxable transactions that won't happen because of it. And that's not stopping. I think Massachusetts, there's a lot of momentum on the left to do this rent freeze. I caution you, don't elect these people. I think Maura Healey's going to lose. I think Mike Minogue is going to represent the Republican Party and be the next governor. I really do. I understand it's Massachusetts, but she has done such an abysmal job, and she does not recognize the problem of illegal immigration as the citizens of Massachusetts, really left of center. Even they have had enough. She's not reading it. She's not done a good job. You can have governors survive an underachieving period as governor, right? But not this bad. I don't believe she's going to win. He's actually got a lot more money coming in than she does. And that usually matters because the Republicans' biggest problem winning elections in Massachusetts is the lack of money, the lack of getting their message out so people know what the alternative is to somebody like Maura Healey. I don't think that's going to be a problem for Mike Minogue. He's a self-made billionaire. So even if he wasn't getting donations to his campaign, I think he would fund it himself, but he doesn't need to. People are getting behind this guy. And Short Sleeve's still in it. I don't want to discount that. And Sean Oliver is running as his partner, Lieutenant Governor. Sean Oliver is the only one assured to be on the ballot as a Republican in November. These guys still have to wait and see what happens in the primary. Not Sean Oliver. He's in. And so I would just caution that young man to be careful with his words when it comes to Mike Minogue, because he's going to be underneath him if Minogue wins. I think he will. I like Short Sleeve. I think he's brought some great things to our attention. I think he's got the right ideas about what to do, but I don't see him winning. It's just a very uphill battle for him. So I'm assuming Minogue has got momentum. He's got the money. And to have a lieutenant governor from New Bedford is a big deal. I think he's got to very carefully tread lightly when it comes to criticizing Minogue. I think that Short Sleeve may have chosen him, but he might put him in a position where his political future is going to be damaged by backing the wrong horse. It would be nice to finally have a South Coast strong representative on Beacon Hill. I mean, the strongest right now is Mark Montigny, and he has enough hubris where he bucks the trend. He's not going to rubber stamp every Democratic bill. We see it all the time. But, there's a path now as unlikely as it would have been 6 months ago for Sean Oliver to be considered a gubernatorial candidate someday. So he's got to play this right. 508-996-0500. I got a friend, this guy Dave. He knows sports really well, baseball even more so. He told me that the Red Sox are going to make the playoffs. And I laughed. I chuckled. I knew they had won 5 in a row. Now it's 6 in a row. I get that. They've dug such a hole. They don't have the bats. People should not get excited. I mean, they're making it interesting. I'll give you that. Right, 6 in a row. Okay, but what about their overall record? They're also chasing. They're like 4 teams away from even getting in a wild card. They're chasing 4 teams just for that. Still a lot of ball to be played. I don't see this team doing it. I just don't. Maura Healey also announced tax credit awards to build some 700 new homes in 6 Massachusetts cities. Speaking of cities, New Bedford will be one of 2 cities that will have federal monitors these elections. The Trump administration is sending observers to 2 cities in Massachusetts, Boston and New Bedford. Wondering what the thought process was, how they decided on those 2. I mean, not so much Boston, but why New Bedford? Very interesting. I'd like to see what the data is that why was New Bedford chosen? And that may be out there. I just haven't read it yet. But of the 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts, Boston's one, of course, but New Bedford is the second one where we'll have observers watching our elections down here. That's interesting to me. Another passenger attacked by a driver in a rideshare on the way to Logan Airport. It happens a lot. Physical altercations between drivers and passengers. And I'm not saying that drivers are responsible for most of them or anything, but there seems to be, in the last 10 years, just a lot of brawling, sexual assaults, other things going on. Mass State Police investigating after a rideshare driver allegedly attacked a passenger. Passenger left the car and went to Terminal C with apparent injuries, claiming to be physically assaulted by the driver. And the incident was a stabbing. The driver was a Lowell man, apparently stabbed the passenger. Originally, I thought these ride shares were kind of safe, because you have to have a credit card attached. And man, there's a lot of problems in these things. Despite having some sort of documented payment form, which really can lead you back to, the identity of the passenger, plus the identity of the drivers is real easy to make. But it doesn't stop a lot of these incidents from happening. Brian can't hear me. He'd probably say, nothing happened like that in my car. Brian, formerly known as Brian the Cabbie. Another wrong way crash in Boston on the highway. I watched the video. It's just mind-boggling how somebody can not recognize that they're going the wrong way on a highway. And another fatality. You guys got any plans to go see the tall ships? Doesn't happen very often. They'll be in Boston Harbor next week. I think they're starting to roll in now, actually. Kind of cool. Boston's having a really great year in terms of tourism between the World Cup and the tall ships and all that. Really economic boom. And as I predicted to you, by the way, now the governor and Massachusetts officials, many of them saying they want to keep the 3 a.m. license to stay open for bars and restaurants, 3 a.m. They want to make that permanent. I mean, I'm for it. If anything, restaurants are closing earlier these days. I mean, mean, they have a 2 o'clock license. They close at 11, 10 o'clock, a lot of them. And young people aren't drinking alcohol as much as prior generations. So I think that's a problem. When you look at the profit margin, staying open in an already tough business. But they think it's a good idea to stay open until 3 a.m. on a permanent basis. They're going to try to make that happen. 508-996-0500. You're listening to the Ken Pittman Show. Be back in a moment.
Do you know the difference between a caregiver and a care partner? When it comes to dementia, those terms help us understand the shift from two people helping each other, more or less equally, to one person becoming much more dependent on the other. Are you a dementia caregiver? Perhaps you care for your spouse, parent, family member, or friend. Whoever it is, being the dementia caregiver can build relationships and test them. Having helpful information about dementia can empower you to survive and thrive as a caregiver. Hello, I'm Bill, and I want to thank you for the care you've provided. I have faced similar situations, so I'm speaking on behalf of the Dementia Society of America, a national nonprofit organization. Request our free guide filled with tips on care, planning, and important facts about brain health, dementia, and much more. Go to 1-800-DEMENTIA.org or call 1-800-DEMENTIA. Thank you.
The Ken Pittman Show, 1420 WBSM, New Bedford.
508-996-0500. Thanks for listening to the Ken Pittman Show. Earlier, I spoke of a rumor that is growing some momentum in the conversations in Boston Sports Talk Radio, and that has to do with Tom Brady. Brady's being accused of helping the Seattle Seahawks understand how to stop Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator of the Patriots, longtime successful offensive coordinator. He's being accused of helping the Seahawks understand his offensive schemes to beat them in the Super Bowl earlier this year. And this is a guy who claims to be a Patriot forever. There's a statue of him at Gillette Stadium, very deserving. But how does this affect him? What if it's true? It's based on comments by the coach, Mike McDonald, who's the coach of the Seahawks. He said he got advice from someone. Now, we know that he got some information from, I think it was Harbaugh. Pretty sure it was Harbaugh, but there was a second person he got information from. And he said it was someone with a conflict of interest. Now, that's a short list. That's a short list because Brady would have a conflict of interest being a part owner of the Raiders, being a former Patriot. So the list is short, and Brady is, people think that McDonald fingered him without naming him. Thanks for calling. You're on the air.
Hi, my friend. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Okay. As far as the Patriots losing that Super Bowl game and McDaniel not being able to do anything, I just found it rather funny that in the fourth quarter, they didn't just come up with something different. I know they were getting that backside rush and everything, but again, that to me, that would say that you run away from the backside rush, or maybe throw a pass in a flat to your.
I'd be running plays in that direction.
Well, whatever, but I would just try to do something. McDaniel didn't try to do anything at all.
Didn't
so I don't
change it
think Brady's, I think if you were, like you just said, you had an idea running in that direction. I had an idea running away from that direction. It was just the same old, same old. I have a bad feeling about sports, and it's all the gambling that's going on in all of them.
I think it's scripted.
And whether or not there's an undercurrent there that should be gotten away from. I know the mafia or the we used to do all the betting stuff, and the government say, hey, there's money to be had there, so let's make it a regular business. But I think it compromises all the all the sports as to
Well, here's an area where I think I would agree with you, but this for me would be the most likely form of cheating. You got this NIL money that really is dependent on alumni giving money to the schools so they can then bring students who get paid to play. You know, what if you have a coach who knows that a major contributor gave money, and you want to encourage that to continue, so you tell them, you can win your money back because I'm not going to cover on this game.
Yeah.
That stuff could be possible.
Oh, that's very possible, very possible. And even if you want to go back in time, you talked about Brady and the and losing. They had the chance of being the only undefeated team except for the Colts, I think, many years ago. But they played many more games. And even in that Super Bowl, the Patriots came out flat. They had everything to gain. To me, if I was a coach in the halftime, I'd be saying, or even the beginning, hey, we got something to do here that nobody else has ever done, and we could show those Colts that we're the better team, and this will go down in history as being. And when they came out of the locker room for the second half of the game there too, and even the first, they were flat, and they had the much better team. So I don't know. What say you about that?
They almost won that game. It was the most dynamic, record-breaking offense in history at that time, and they put up 17 points. But, if not for that helmet-trapped crazy catch, they win that game. And there was a hold that wasn't called during that play. It doesn't matter.
Well, do you agree that, though, they weren't playing up to their real potential?
Oh, God, yeah. But we watched the decline on that undefeated team. If you'll recall, the second to last week of this season, they, through a very controversial officiating call, beat the Baltimore Ravens. They should have lost that game. And then the last game of the season, the Giants gave them everything they can handle and more. And then they barely beat Tennessee in the first week of the playoffs. They struggled after week. I think the zero, the goose egg, you're 15-0, you're 16-0, you're 17. I think that's a distraction, to be honest. I think it weighed on them.
Yeah, it might be, but they got to the Super Bowl and they had that opportunity.
2 weeks.
And you've played. I know 2 weeks is a long time, but still, you've played ball. I can tell. I've played ball, maybe not the greatest ball, but I tried to play. And to me, if you get in situations like that, I think it's easy to pump up everybody on the team and, hey, let's go. We got something to do here. Do you agree or not?
I do. But I think some teams, like if the Giants and the Patriots played the same schedule that year, I think the Patriots win 5 or 6 more than the Giants would have. But the particular matchups of the Giants and the Patriots favored the Giants in a lot of cases. It gave them a fighting chance. They come out on top on one, almost did twice.
Yeah, I remember the one. What was the name of the coach? McDonald for the Giants at the time.
Tom, from the Parcells tree. Coughlin.
Yeah, Tom Coughlin. Yeah, and even going into that, he had some injured players, and they asked him if he was going to play him, and he said, "Yeah, they're going to play." He played his guys right into the Super Bowl. So to me, that's kind of like an adrenaline pump up thing too. I'm going with my guys, and they were banged up, the Giants. And they beat a much more talented Patriot team.
They were the better
story.
Again,
I wonder, is there money going to the head coach or something in the draw?
They were the better story that year. They had a strength and conditioning coach who got called, because he was in the reserves, he got called to Iraq. And that fall, while he was away, he was injured by an IED and had both of his legs amputated.
Oh, jeez.
And they wheeled him into the locker room before the Super Bowl, and he gave the motivational speech. Wasn't a dry eye in that locker room. And I think it was Plexico Burress who said, if we win and he doesn't get a ring, I'm giving him mine. And, there was a lot of reasons to... Tom Coughlin, I'm a big fan of Tom Coughlin. My friend Dave McGillis down in Brockton, he had a brother who was a starting safety for Boston College. He actually died during his senior year as the starting safety from a leukemia. And Tom Coughlin promised that family from Brockton that he would be involved with the fundraising to fight that disease until it's cured. Tom Coughlin still shows up and does his part today. I mean, a man of his word. So I was, I'm a fan of Tom Coughlin. It didn't hurt me as much.
I was too.
As much as it was a Patriots loss, I still thought the Giants were a better story that year.
Well, again, I couldn't lose in those Super Bowls where you have Giants and Patriots because I was a Giant fan before the Patriots and the AFL were around as a kid.
It's the media, yeah.
Yeah, and then, of course, when the AFL started, they were two separate leagues, so I had to have a team in the other league, and so, of course, it was the Patriots. So when you have that matchup, it's kind of like, gee, I can't lose, and I know some people might find that hard to believe, but again, I've always been a Giant guy and this and that and the other. But again, Patriots, and so now when the teams merge, I'm a Giant, I'm a Patriot fan, too.
By the way, the Giants are one of three teams, I think, are my candidates for the most improved team going from last year to this year. I think they're going to do good things this year.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so.
You get a good team.
But again, in all sports, I don't want to put it all on football and everything like that. Basketball, whatever, baseball, 8 man out and everything. If you want to go back that far, it can be done,
It can be done, but it can't be. It's not this big script where everybody's involved. You'd never be able to keep it a secret. It can be done with a limited amount of people involved.
Well, yeah. Let's just put it in football. To me, head coach gets an envelope in his drawer with some money, and his offensive coordinator says we're going to do this, and he goes, no, I think we're going to go the other way instead, and causes the team
4th and 15, a dive up the middle. Yeah,
that would be too obvious. But again, I really feel bad about, and even having a team in Las Vegas and everything. Gee, that's a bad look. That's come on.
I think that
I'd rather go see a Little League game. I know it's all pea and vinegar. You know what I'm saying?
I honestly don't think it's any more risk that if they're in Atlanta or Green Bay or Las Vegas. I think the security's
that's because
in the
I guess the gambling's all over the country now. I guess maybe that's why you feel that way.
Plus the security's
again,
in the same.
I like a pure sport, and I like to see the game played technically correctly. With okay, I see you gotta go.
Yes, sir. But thanks for the call. It was a good one.
My friend. Take care.
Bye. All right. One more commercial break while we're wrapping up on the other side. And love to hear from you, though. I got a couple of minutes to take your call. 508-996-0500.
Here's what's happening this week on Town Square Sunday. The New Bedford Festival Theater returning to the Zeitarian this month with a musical comedy, Jimmy Buffett's Escape to Margaritaville. Director Liz Betancourt and actor Nina Rajuri will give us a preview. We'll also meet a classically trained tenor, Cooper Kendall, who spent a lot of time in New Bedford during his childhood, performed all over the world, now studying in Switzerland. And in an encore interview, we'll have the latest on leadership changes at Dennison Memorial Center in New Bedford. Jim Mathis is retiring, and Joe Neves is taking over. I'm Jim Phillips. Join me for Town Square Sunday. Sunday morning at 6 and 11 on 1420 WBSM 99.5 FM.
This is New Bedford's news talk station. WBSM.
I told you I'll be back. So, just reading a little bit about the Tom Brady rumor that he helped the Seahawks figure out Josh McDaniels' offensive schemes for the Super Bowl. Mike McDonald has specified it. No, it wasn't Tom Brady. Some people think he's putting the toothpaste back in the tube. Because he didn't name him. He just said somebody with a conflict of interest, and he realizes that he may cause a big problem for Tom Brady. If it was Brady, of course he's going to deny it. Now, I'm not saying it was Tom Brady, but it's possible, not probable. Another thing that would lend to it is not only would Brady be on a short list of people with a conflict of interest, as McDonald, that's as far as he went, as identifying the individual who gave him information. Well, Tom Brady is part owner of the Oakland Raiders, who they were in the middle of hiring, before the Super Bowl, the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. So get your fan base a little more excited that a Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator is going to be your next coach. I'm not saying, again, I don't think I'm not accusing Tom Brady of anything other than being the victim of a rumor right now. But it's possible it was him. And that is not going to sit well with Patriots Nation. Even Tom Brady can blow the goodwill of the fan base. Anyway, thanks for listening. I had a good time with you guys. Thanks for calling, and we'll do it again next week. Jose Matos, Money Matters, up next. Have a great weekend.
WBSM and W258DR, New Bedford, a Town Square media station.